So we're going to take questions, and I'm going to come around and give you the mic.
Yeah, I like questions, really.
Yeah.
I prefer that than hearing myself talk for an hour.
He did tell me that.
Please.
I'm gonna hand over the mic because I want you guys to be able to interact with him. But just remember, this is Joe's show, so take that how you like.
Oh, no.
Here. Let's get along with the court. Oh, actually, it's pretty long.
You said something that bothered me a little bit. You said that the sun shows up when a kid is shot. What do you think that says about us as mass consumers of information? And more importantly, what do you think that says about what the sun thinks of us as mass consumers of information?
Well, I think that that's excellent. That's a good question. Thank you for not asking about f-stops or something. I was just worried about it. No, but that's a great question. And I mean, it's, they're a huge media organization. And we live in a very, if, the old slogan, if it bleeds, it leads. And that comes from somewhere. I want to retract a little bit because they're friends of mine. So that might have been a little snide to say they only show up when a kid's gone down. But I think that just says that this is what people want to consume. They don't want to see the photo of the guard with the little girl. They want to see the gore, and we've conditioned people through our media, all media. I mean, who wants to watch a show called Real Housewives about actual real housewives that have fun with each other? No, we want to watch them. No, yeah, it's serious. You don't want to watch that. You want to watch them bicker and fight and argue, and we're telling people that behavior is okay. And when you see, why I'm not in war zones is I don't think I could do any good other than to take photos of bleeding people for my own benefit, which means awards and prizes and things like that. So I guess that's why they do it. They do it because it runs on page one. We're with the city paper, we're a weekly, so I have a little bit more latitude. We don't put that on our covers. We try to get the story behind why the kid was shot or to meet the people behind that. Did I answer your question? Yeah, we could talk afterwards. I articulate much better one-on-one, so.
Come over there. I want to grab you because I know you had a question.
Oh, thank you. Do I need to stand up? Anyway, hi. Thank you for being here. My question is about sort of prescience. Like, we called it Summer of the Gun because what ended up happening over the course of 3 months is that so many people died. How on earth could you have possibly known when it was starting that this was headed in this way? The murder rate could have just dropped, the floor could have dropped out of it somewhere in the middle, and as well as the fact that you had to miss a few, I'm guessing, before you caught the pattern.
Yeah, I did it in I did it a week. I started a week after the first day of summer. And the week before, there was a quadruple shooting. There were 6 other shootings in one weekend. That's where it came from. I didn't see any signs of it slowing down. It's Baltimore. And I mean, that's glib and it's snide, but it's the truth. There's no illusions. It's not going to take a drop until we do a lot. But that's where it came from. And I knew going into the project that that's what I wanted to call it, because I was just focusing on the gun homicides. So.
Thanks.
Well, I know Megan, this lady over here. She works
Fair.
here. She works
Good
here.
show.
She came out. She works here.
Hi, my name
You're
is,
next, Megan. Okay.
My name is Danae Barr, and I'm a fine arts photographer and a photojournalist as well. And I really appreciate the stunning, poignant photographs that you brought to us today. They're just amazing.
Thank you.
And you made several good points. First of all, I really feel that people who are true photographers, they should actually be doing the work. I think, all these other cameras, et cetera, and they should hire those photographers. It makes a tremendous difference, and you saw from the quality of the work in terms of not only the context but also the execution of the photographs. And I want to ask you a question about this, because I know, for photographers, this is such a tough time, and for photojournalists, a lot of them, out of work and everything, and seeing that you commenting on that person that went to Micah and they're living at poverty level and et cetera. In terms of how do I want to put it, crowdfunding, for example, crowdsourcing photographers. For someone, for example, who wants to go into photojournalism, what are your recommendations or suggestions to them?
Go into plumbing or HVAC.
Only
you want to help people? Be a carpenter.
Only the two diehards. Only the two diehards, huh?
Yeah. Well, for someone, if crowdfunding is great, I think crowdfunding to me is amazing. I haven't done it yet because I think it's kind of a done in one. So I want to get a project that I really want to use that one card for. But like I said, I mean, getting into it, as I'm a photo editor, so I see a lot of photographs and I see random students sending me stuff. I've yet to see a package come in and saying, hey, would you run this? Which, if it's great, and I just sent an email out to the photographers of the paper. I want more series out of you guys. And that's the only way to do it. And I think that's how you're going to get the attention of big magazines now, is just coming to them and saying, hey, you know, I live at the poverty level in Baltimore. I'm also a photojournalist. I've been documenting my family for a year. And that's the stuff that goes viral and gets picked up. So that's what I would say. I mean, get a nice, tight series together and just start marketing it.
Can Megan ask one now?
Yes,
Show out.
Megan. I'm kidding.
Thanks, Joe. I was wondering if you could speak more to the ethics of all of this. Like, are there hard and fast rules or laws about how involved you can be in a story, or is it sort of like up to your discretion, or just kind of like be a good person?
I mean, ethically, you don't need model releases for anything done publicly on the street so far. There's a few precedents for that in the Supreme Court, which I can tell you afterwards. There's a fascinating story about that, actually, involving a rabbi and a fashion photographer. It's true.
That sounds like the start of a good joke.
It's true. I know. It's true. No, this. Long story short, this very famous photographer, Philippe Yorker de Corsia, was doing a series called Heads, and he set these strobe lights up in Times Square. And he was 500 yards away, shooting with a long lens, and people were randomly snapping off the strobes. It was a trigger, and he would just shoot when they were walking by, and everything around him was dark except for these heads. So a rabbi ended up on the cover of the book and sued because he didn't want his image out there. He's a Hasidic Jew, didn't want his image out there, and he lost because he was on a public street. So that trumped religious law. So that's your precedent for that kind of thing. Ethics is up to the person, really, taking the picture. I mean, you know, do you want to hover around someone who's been killed and just snap away and then leave? I mean, that's up to you. But there's no hard and fast rules to ethics with photojournalism. I mean, okay.
Fair.
Anyone else?
Hey, Rachel.
I actually just wanted to ask about your relationship. So I know you mentioned, you know, introducing yourself and asking, what's your relationship with the victim and all of that stuff. But I just find it so interesting because, I mean, I'm no photographer myself, but I really like to take photos and document things, and sometimes I'll see someone that looks really interesting or whatever, and it's like, I don't know, I'm like, getting something candid as opposed to like the kind of better thing to do would be to be like, can I take a photo? You know what I mean? I don't know, obviously you're a professional, but what's the kind of, do you know what I'm trying to say? Sorry. What I'm trying to say.
I got the like part, but.
What I'm trying to, like, sorry. Yeah, so you don't want to introduce yourself and make it a whole, like, can I take a photo of you? Because
right.
You want to get the candid moment, but then it's kind of rude to just, is it? I don't know.
No, that's a good question. And it's a case-by-case basis. I'm not, you know, if something catches my eye, I'll shoot it, and then I'll at least try to interact with the person that I've shot. I mean, and not every photo is going to be like that. I'm not going to stand up here and lie and say that I talk to everybody at every crime scene, because I don't. I mean, like let's see. This one is a perfect example of the square where the sheet was up. The kid that was killed over off of Park Heights. Where are we at? So for the neighbors, that one. So yeah, I didn't talk to anybody there, but what I did was I did have a lot of one thing that I have to, like, patience. Wait for a photo. Were you with me at No, yeah, at Heather Mazur's thing, right? Yeah. So I waited for someone to get into that window, like the guy smoking a cigarette. I waited for about 20 minutes. I just stood there. Like, eventually someone's going to stand in that window, and that's going to fill that shot. And he did, and he had a cigarette, and it was great. But this is one of the only times where I was kind of looked at, like, suspiciously, because this was away from the crime scene. This was around the corner in the courtyard. So I didn't really interact on that. My point is, on that photo, as much as maybe I should have. But it came out, it came out pretty decent. The Heather Mazur photo, I wish I had put that in there. It was the Maryland Historical Society. They had these big windows, and I knew that she was going to walk up this ramp by herself because I saw her partner leave already. And Audrey, we were there for 45 minutes, waiting her almost for an hour just for this one photo. And she walked up the ramp, and I got it right in the window with her all by herself with her phone on this long walk at the end, which is, so patience, everyone. Don't snap away. Any more? Did I answer your question at all? About interacting? Yeah, it's case by case, is the long story short. If you see, with the aunt, that was me walking up to her and talking to her first. If I'd have seen that from far away, would I have taken it? I don't know. I can't really say if I'd have taken that shot or not. But it's on case by case basis.
Oh, you guys had the same question.
There's no beer, Bob. Sorry. I thought that was going to be your question.
I liked what you said about you're looking for more series of photos from your photographers rather than anybody can take one photo. That doesn't make it good or bad, but you get a different idea of the perspective of what the problem is or what the situation is if you can appreciate yourself, how your photographer is entering that problem, how he sees it, and what point he's trying to make. And I think, if I'm making sense what I'm saying.
Or she.
I like that. I like she, preferably she, of course. But I like your she on the other end of the camera, too. That's just me. Or I.
Thanks. Yeah. Elena?
Oh, I thought she had a question.
No.
Sorry, I thought you were going to speak to that. We have time for one more question, and then I have a question.
We can squeeze two in.
Okay.
I got nowhere to be. I've actually got to go to New York for Fashion Week after this, so I'm serious. I'm going to leave here, and I'm shooting up there. Yes.
I'm wondering is there a line that you don't cross? Is there an ethical line for you as an individual posing as a photographer that you say no to?
It's a good question because I have an internal debate about that all the time, and I don't know. I haven't come across a situation yet where I would really have to step back and say, don't take that photo. And I think there's actually, there's a great series on domestic violence that came out. Did you see that one? It came out maybe last year. And the woman was in the house when this guy was beating on the wife. And she took the photos, and then she called 911. She took a huge hit online because people didn't know the whole story, and they thought that she was there to observe. I don't know if I could have taken those photos first, and maybe it's because it's a guy thing, like the hero thing. I would have stepped in. I don't know, but I haven't come across a situation yet, like the baby and the vulture. I would have taken that kid. I would have probably gotten the photo because I saw it first, took it real quick, and then taken that child over to the refugee center instead of just leaving it there to go on to my next photo. That's what I worry about more. But I haven't been in a situation where I've had to question myself. It hasn't been that bad yet, so we'll see. But I'll call you. I'll be like, Elena, this is your answer. I'm not taking this photo. I am starting a series on HIV teens. So that may, I'm really curious because that question may come up. So one more, yes.
It's actually two, but really short. One,
that's fine.
I'm curious why you chose black and white for the gun series and color for the homeless and the poverty series, and also being a human, what's the emotional toll that this takes on you?
Well, I'm not human, Illuminati. Just kidding. Well, that's actually, the toll is, it's pretty rough. And I was out with the AP photographer last night, and we were talking about these war guys. There's a reason that they commit suicide. And it's tough. It took the Summer of the Gun I started drinking pretty heavily after Summer of the Gun. I mean, as opposed to me drinking heavily now, I guess heavier. I don't know. But I did notice that, and I did notice depression and what's the point. So it does. I had to step back after Gun and do the Homeless series, which was a much more human story for me than just being out documenting murders all the time. But the color is a good question. I'm glad you asked that. I was hoping somebody would. I have a two-part answer. The first is I really believe that black and white is the language of photojournalism. Unless color really plays a part in the photo. So for instance, go up here to Marcella. Okay, yeah. So I don't think that photo would resonate in black and white without that red and the yellow and the gangrenous foot. So that's why I chose it. The Summer of the Gun stuff was literally me seeing in black and white. Someone was murdered, cops aren't doing anything. There's no gray or color area. There's no reason to show the bloody curb has the same effect in black and white as it does in red, although the red would make it more murder porny, like, oh, it's blood. Where the black and white is a little more pensive. It really makes you think a little more than paying attention to the color. So that's how I judge all my work. If the color plays a part in the photograph, then it will definitely stay in color. If it has nothing to do with the photograph, I'll probably convert it to like a stark black and white. So, is that good?
Okay, we have one last question, and it's mine.
I'm sorry, no more questions? Sorry.
Thanks, Joe. No, wait, I have a question.
Yes.
So it's a lot. It can be a lot to digest. This may be sort of a cliche question, but how, as people that are mostly from like the middle class creative community, with information like that, sort of what can we do? I mean, like you said in one article, like one of the goals in your Summer of the Gun series was to get complacent residents to give a shit, which I think is an amazing goal. And what can we do with that information that is constructive?
Why you gotta ask those hard questions, Katie?
Right.
Yeah. No. I mean, the homeless story pretty much answers that. I mean, it got people in the whiter, more affluent community to care about the people that they passed every day as they went down Guilford Avenue in this community. And that's about it. I mean, the Summer of the Gun and war photographers and those guys, it's kind of idealized to think that my work is going to have an effect, because it didn't have an effect on the crime rate. It didn't have an effect on the way the police treat the residents. But what it did was, I think it made other communities aware of actually what was really going on in their city. They chose to look at it in the paper as opposed to turning it off on the news. So even that, that awareness is a first step, I think. And at least you acknowledge the fact that you live in Canton, relatively safe, or Fells Point, or Federal Hill, or Butchers Hill, and this is going on literally down the street from you. So I think just the awareness, to an extent, really is really good for people to know that. And then people can help with this. I mean, I got tons of emails. How can we help these people? Which to me was great. That was great. That these people, because something I did, that community was helped. And it also put the city hall on notice that the media was there. So now, the mayor sent people down there. And she said, I had no idea you were here. I'm like, you're the health and human services person. You're 2 blocks away from City Hall. You didn't know this was here? Come on now. Because they don't want to look bad. So that is awareness, and that is what really works. That kind of stuff works. So, any more questions?
Actually, we have to get people to work.
Oh, we do? Well, I haven't talked about Amway yet. Have you guys, listen, while I have you here, I have this diamond plan. I can make you a lot of money. No.
Seriously, but stick around, because Joe will be around.